That's the line in the sand. And sometimes we have to make that line in the sand. Again, freedom isn't free and it's not comfortable. It's never comfortable. And this is only just the beginning. Because this is war. And Dr. Marshall DeRosa is going to come up here and he's going to talk to you about things that you probably haven't heard a candidate talk about in quite a long time. But he's going to lay it on the line because he doesn't hold any punches. He's not here to win a popularity contest. He's here to win an election based on principles our founding fathers had. Those principles are that every man has a right to live free and own his own property. Your property, right now we're all slaves to the federal government because if you don't pay your taxes, they'll come and take your possessions. Think about how long you're a slave to the government every year. What is it? 5-6 months you pay taxes when you work? 5 or 6 months of your income is taken in taxes. That's what I call a slave. Some people think that the income tax is used to pave roads and for the infrastructure of the United States, and that's incorrect. The only thing that income tax goes to is to pay off the debt owed to the international bankers who have robbed all of our gold. They did that in 1933 with the Emergency Banking Act. FDR did that for us. And some of you think this is a Republican or Democrat battle. It's not. This is an American battle. Amen. I have met great Republicans who are constitutionalists, and I have met great Democrats who are constitutionalists. I've met great American Party members who are constitutionalists, and all people from all walks of life that believe in the Constitution. That's our common ground. We can argue out the politics later on, okay? When our candidates go into office, we can talk about the differences there. But the bottom line is the Constitution needs to run supreme. That's right. And it is the governing document that governs our government. Amen. And we need that Constitution implemented once again and followed by everyone who swears that oath. Dr. Marshall DeRosa is a professor at Florida Atlantic University, a tenured professor there. He has accolades galore. I mean, I could have a whole list here to tell you about his achievements. He's written 4 books. He's published 4 books. He's an expert on the Constitution, constitutional history. He is a member and an adjunct faculty member of the Ludwig von Mises Institute, of the James Madison Institute, and so many other organizations, the Abbeville Institute. And I'm going to tell you something, folks. When I met this man for the first time, he and I were both on the board of the Constitution Committee of the United States. That's how I met Dr. Marshall DeRosa. And divine providence would have it that he and I would cross paths and become friends. We're very much like-minded. In fact, I will tell you this. I learned every time, you know why I love riding up in the car with him is because I learn every time I get in the automobile, every time we're together, I learn. And I tell my children, don't ever stop learning. Folks, I never stop learning. For men like Dr. Marshall DeRosa, I want to tell you something. I admire him greatly. I love him as a fellow patriot. I respect him greatly, and I will do everything in my power, work as hard as I can day and night to see this man get elected as a United States Senator, because he will be the political shot heard around the world that lets us break free from the mentality of the two-party stranglehold right now. Now, there are a lot of people here that may be Democrats and Republicans. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think the leadership of your party is corrupt? Are they doing what you really want them to do? No, they're not. So how do we send them a message that we're not going to take it anymore? We go and we vote in other people from other parties who will infiltrate and say we've had enough of this nonsense. That's right. How many times have we voted in good Democrats and Republicans? Too many. And what happened? Here we have Barack Obama. He's supposed to be a Democrat. I don't think Barack Obama's a real Democrat, folks. He's not. He's a Democrat. But yet your political leadership has accepted him. So we've got to get in there and infiltrate them so we can clean this whole mess up. Dr. Marshall DeRosa will stand on the floor of the Senate when they try to pass an illegal law that violates the Constitution, and he will educate them on just exactly how wrong they are and how he will not take a part of it. And then he'll come back to Florida and he'll let us know the dangers that they're trying to pass behind our backs and in the middle of the night. I'd like to bring up my good friend and Constitution Party candidate, Dr. Marshall DeRosa.
Good morning. I'm going to do things a bit differently. It's going to be somewhat more extemporaneous, and I'm going to make a few comments. Then I'm going to solicit questions from the fine people of Okeechobee so you can see the type of leadership that the Constitution Party is trying to get as your representatives in Washington, D.C. Now, first and foremost, I have about 35 years experience. That's why the state of Florida pays me. They pay me to teach the citizens of Florida about the political process. I'm a political scientist. And what you're seeing happening in the United States of America and in the state of Florida is extremely complicated. It's well engineered. It's not by accident. And they know what they're doing. And you really haven't seen anything yet as to how they want to change and transform this great country of the United States of America and the 50 states, Florida, of course, being one of them. But we need to change the way we look at the world, especially how we look at politics. You have to use your imagination because we've all been socialized to accept the government and its policies as either in our political interest, good public policy, and constitutional. For example, if this universal health care initiative is derailed and doesn't get through the political process, they have plans in place where it could be hoisted on the American people through the courts. Because back in the 40s, 50s, we signed treaties, international protocols that more or less guarantees to every American and every non-citizen in America access to universal health care. All it takes is the courts, as they've done in the past, to say, this is the law of the land, and this is how we're going to treat the Americans because it's their legal right. And believe it or not, under the current system, the regime, the laws, it is your legal right to universal health care. Read the UN Charter. Read various protocols passed by the United States and agreed to in conjunction with the UN Charter. What you're seeing now is just sort of a bomb they're throwing to the Americans. And they don't like the response of the Americans, but they'll get around it. We have to be steadfast in our opposition. Now, what would your opinions be, rather than this coming from a Democratic administration, it came from a Republican administration? What if Bush, as he did with the pharmacy bill, was pushing universal health care? You wouldn't be seeing tea parties right now. What if the courts issued a decision and said, it's your constitutional right to have universal health care? Where would the tea parties be? This is a unique time in American history where they blew it. They went too fast. They deviated from their game plan, and some Americans are waking up. Yeah. But you have to be alert, because you have to be in this fight for the long haul. Let me give you an example. When you see that American flag, what comes to mind?
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice, that's right. But you know what comes to my mind? What comes to my mind is that flag is hoisted on what looks like a cross. Because that flag and our system is based upon a certain type of civilization.
Come on. Right.
Without that foundation, that flag does not represent what you think it does.
Amen.
So just when you see the flag as you're driving around Okeechobee, don't look at the flag. That's a symbol pointing to higher, more important principles. Look at the cross. That's the basis of your civilization. The flag